Fantasy Flame, here is a requirement. They have to be under 60% started. We're using Yahoo Leagues, a place that I know and used to love for 13 years of existence at that fine company. So using that platform as a measuring stick, who is your Fantasy Flame pick in Week 5?
All right, now this one is so hot that I don't know if you saw it. I had to hit the mute button on myself. I just sneezed. Now I'm dealing with some allergies, so I apologize. I'm trying to get myself together here. I have no choice because I'm in a 2-quarterback league, and unfortunately, my quarterbacks this weekend are I have Kyler Murray, and then I got Geno Smith. So I got to go with Geno Smith this weekend, guys. Wow. And I'm going to make the case for Geno Smith if you also have to get down and dirty this weekend. Now, he's only rostered right now in 34.9% of leagues. I'm starting to question why Pete Carroll left the retirement home or the golf course and why his first phone call was to Geno Smith. He's been awful at home in Vegas. Under 60% of his pass attempts, he's completing for 148.5 yards, 1 touchdown, and 6.5 fantasy points per game. He's had less than 10 fantasy points in both contests. However, on the road, he's completed 68% of his passes for over 300 yards, 325 to be exact, 2 touchdowns, and he's averaged 21.8 fantasy points. Now, you're looking at the Colts defense. They didn't give up a whole lot to Tua, Cam Ward, and Bo Nix. We just saw Matthew Stafford go for 375, 3 tutties, and 27.4 fantasy points, all season highs. Now, I don't think Geno Smith is going to put up Matthew Stafford numbers, but good chance they're going to be trailing in this game because they're dog water right now, and I think he's going to be dropping back at least 35 times. And I think Genti goes off again. So let's go with Geno Smith because I have no other choice.
Yeah, man, that's a disgusting choice. Just by you even throwing that out there, get the tub ready and soak for hours on end because it's going to take that long to get the stench off of that selection. Pinch your nose for sure. I'm going to go with Daniel Jones. I wrote about him on the gamingjuice.com and my Fantasy Flames quarterback edition live right now on the site, and it's for free. So go and read it at the gamingjuice.com. Some of the reasons why I'm high on Jones. He's going against Viva Las Vegas, as you already mentioned with Geno, a team that's just number 24 in dropback EPA defense on the season. They've allowed the 12th most fantasy points to opposing signal callers, giving up 7.23 pass yards per attempt, 237 pass yards per game, 6 total touchdowns as well. Jones, again, been one of the surprise sensations so far this fantasy football and really the NFL regular season as well. Number 15, adjusted completion percentage on the year. Number 5 in deep ball completion percentage. Michael Pittman has erupted. Nobody really saw that coming. He's had some red zone struggles, and he didn't run hardly at all last week. 1 carry for -1 yards, and that's uncharacteristic for him. So I'm thinking like 250, a pair of vertical touchdowns, may run one in, but I think he's going to run for at least 20, 25 yards as well. Even if he has a miscue, a fumble lost, or an INT, he'll make it up with that ground yards accumulation. So Daniel Jones, starter right now on 44% of Yahoo leagues. My pick to be Fantasy Flame material in this bye-heavy week against the Raiders. Flip side of the coin, a Fantasy Lane started over 50% of Yahoo leagues. What big-name quarterback you think lets down managers here in Week 5?
I'm seeing Dak Prescott as high as quarterback 6, and I get it because it's the matchup against the Jets and because the Cowboys don't really have a run game, and we just saw him air it out against both Green Bay secondary and the Giants. But now he's got to go on the road. They're only 2.5-point favorites in this game, and I think the Jets defense... It's hard for me to even say this with a straight face because I'm not an Aaron Glenn guy, right? I get that he did a funny dance a couple weeks ago, but I think he's going to be the coach at Bowling Green very soon. Or just back in Detroit with Dan Campbell. I, anyway, think that Dak is going to throw a couple picks in this game. At quarterback 6, I don't think he lives up to the hype this weekend, or quarterback 7 or 8, so I'll fade Dak.
I'm going to fade Baker. Baker, usually the touchdown maker, and I don't think this is going to be a multi-TD kind of game. Making the very long trip to the Great Northwest there in Sasquatch land, taking on the Seattle Seahawks. They're on the road. Seattle, very decent, number 13 in drop-back EPA defense. They've allowed the 12th fewest fantasy points quarterback position, surrendering 5.98 pass yards per attempt, only 227.5 pass yards per game, and a 6-7 touchdown interception split. Now, you look at Baker. He's been the ninth best quarterback according to his fantasy points output, but this is shocking to me. I was jarred. I was floored when I looked this up at Pro Football Focus. Ryan Horvat, would you like to venture to guess where Baker Mayfield ranks in adjusted completion percentage for week's end?
Oh, man. Let's go. I'm going to go outside the top 15. 16?
Quarterback 35. Quarterback
Jesus.
35. That's how inaccurate Baker Mayfield has been on a snap-by-snap basis. It's shocking. It really is. You know, everybody's looking at Emeka Buka, catching everything left and right, rinse and repeat. Chris Godwin saw some action and meaningful catches last week as well. Sterling Shepard has had his moments, but, man, he's been awful in terms of efficiency. And now you're going to face a pretty robust secondary in the Seattle Seahawks. I think Baker Mayfield has a letdown game. I'm thinking like 230, 240 yards, maybe get you around 15 rushing yards, but I think he's going to have multiple turnovers and maybe only one passing touchdown. I think he's outside the quarterback top 15 ranks in week number 5. All right, let's dig a little bit deeper with shovel in hand. What is your shocker special in week 5? Quarterback under 15% started right now in Yahoo Leagues. Who is that?
All right. By the way, man, I really like that call on Baker. I didn't know the adjusted completion percentage was that bad, but I knew the turnover-worthy throws. He got away with a lot of interceptions.
Yes.
Like if you were betting against the Bucs or Baker the first couple weeks, you got to be like putting your head through a wall. But I love the guy. I'm also fading him this week, and I'm playing against him, so I love that call. I'm going to go with, so I really like your guy that you're going to go with, but I'm going to go with Sam Darnold against Tampa Bay. Here will be the case that I'll make for Darnold. I know he hasn't been a fantasy star yet, but the Buccaneers have a really good run defense. In fact, they're only giving up 3.3 yards per rushing attempt. They just held Saquon Barkley to 2.3 yards per carry. But they've given up 208 passing yards, 1.5 touchdowns, 18.8 fantasy points per game. So deeper leagues, he's only 9.4% rostered. You know, if you're, we had a couple callers. If you're considering like Jake Browning and Sam Darnold's available, I would rather roll with him because I do think that Tampa's going to be able to shut down the run. But I think he's going to have to drop back and, probably throw the ball 25, 30 times in this game.
Yeah, it's a very sketchy secondary in Tampa. I think that's a great call there on Sam Darnold. Could make you some dollars here this week. Jaxson Dart, start the man, hit a bullseye down there in the Crescent City against the New Orleans Saints. It's a terrific matchup on paper. New Orleans number 29 in dropback EPA defense. They've allowed the 6th most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks, giving up 7.96 pass yards per attempt, only 221.0 pass yards per game, but they've also surrendered 10 total touchdowns to the position. Yes, he was only number 21 in adjusted completion percentage last week in his debut. Yes, he was only number 17 in ADOT. And yes, he will not have Malik Neighbors the rest of the season out with that ACL. But it's all about the duality. He's like a poor man's version of Jalen Hurts, but maybe even more accurate. He still got Wan'Dale Robinson. He got Darius Slayton, Theo Johnson. He'll be able to spread it around. He's going to throw the ball, I think, more accurately, more efficiently this week for like 175 yards, maybe a passing touchdown. And it's all about the legs, man. 10 for 54 in a rushing TD last week. I think it's a minimum of 7 carries this week. I think he's going to get at least 35 to 40 yards on the ground. And I bet you he scores a touchdown with the legs again. Jaxson Dart, I think, is going to get you around 18 to 20 fantasy points this week. Horvey, you're digging that one, aren't you?
I really am, man. So I like the Saints in the game, but my hot take isn't just that the Saints win their first game. I mean, they're a favorite, so I don't think that's like a hot take. It's like in college football when the unranked team is like a 3-point favorite and they beat number 22 and everybody's like, what an upset. Like, no, it wasn't. The team was favored. But I think this is going to be a sneaky shootout. I'll call my shot right now. 38-35, Saints win, but Dart goes off with his legs.
I would love that, and every fantasy manager in America would say the same.